So a very good morning and a very warm welcome to all our panelists and all our delegates who've taken out time to be with us here today. My name is Akanksha Mahajan. I am Director Research with India Infrastructure. The next 60 or 75 minutes of our time is going to be spent on discussing about digitalization in construction of gas pipelines with a focus on creating digital as-builts and capturing high accuracy GPS data. Before I actually let you know about how this webinar is structured. So a little about mission and background of this conference. Energy utilities are digitally transforming their processes to manage workflows in a high quality and cost effective manner. Technologies such as digital as-builts allow contractors and field crews to easily capture construction data on mobile tools, as well as conducting real-time material and work process validations amongst other functions. It also helps in creation of complete and accurate sets of data that can be exported to other systems like GIS, etc. This is a 75 minutes webinar, and we have a very eminent panel here with us. The idea is that during the course of that panel discussion, we will try to touch upon and discuss topics like digital advancements that have shaped the gas pipeline construction projects over the years in India, benefits of real-time visibility into assets and importance of remote inspections, scope and adoption of digital as-builts and digital twins, and of course issues and challenges that are there in moving to such technologies. A very quick background about us, the organizers of this webinar today. So India Infrastructure Publishing is a company which is dedicated to providing information analysis and insights on the infrastructure sectors in India. Amongst the various infrastructure sectors that we cover in our research, oil and gas, of course, is one of them. And, we do have an expertise in terms of understanding the, digital transformation that is happening across the CGT space. Can we move to the next slide, please? So this event has been made possible in support with Magic Minds, and we thank them for the same. We are now ready to begin with our discussions. So the format of the session today would be such that we will have a baseline presentation from Magic Minds, and we have Mr. Karthik Sagar here who's presenting Magic Minds and will be presenting the document or presentation to you all. This is going to be followed by a panel discussion of about 30-40 minutes, where we have, as I mentioned, two eminent panelists with us. We have Mr. Arun Kumar Mishra, who is the CEO from HPO Oil Gas, and Mr. Anand Rubade from AG and P. Pratham. I will be introducing both these gentlemen once we start the panel discussion. And while Mr. Sagar is sharing his screen, just allow me 2 minutes to quickly introduce him to, for all our delegates and fellow panelists here. Mr. Karthik Sagar is Growth Leader, Research and Development from Magic Minds. He has been working with CGD utilities for about 12 years now. And during his tenure with working in the CGD space, he has successfully implemented new age solutions to address field operations, compliance, and quality and safety challenges. He's been working with utilities to create their digital transformation blueprint and has helped them in implementing tools and processes to take this transformation forward. Welcome, Mr. Sagar.
Thank you, Akanksha, for that introduction to everyone, and thanks to the panelists today for joining. To just be a brief introduction about Magic Minds before we go in, we have been an organization who have been primarily focused towards building a better software solution stack in asset management and field mobility solutions to utilities and telcos across the globe. We have been working with some large-scale enterprises and large-scale utilities across the globe in providing in helping in their digital transformation journeys. So when we talk about digitization, what is the digitization actually we are talking about? To simplify it and make everyone aware of what we're going to discuss, digitization is just simply what we are talking about, an ability to gain an instant access to the information available. When we talk about the pipeline construction data, as the pipeline is being constructed on the field, let's assume you have a pipeline that is being constructed on the field and various activities are being performed on a daily basis on the field. So getting access to this information in terms of what is the amount of pipeline that has been laid, how many wells have been performed today, what kind of welders who are working in this project construction, getting information to this real-time data is what we are referring to as digitization in pipeline construction. This is essentially something that will reduce the response times and enables preventive measures during the operation phases because of the availability of the data while the construction was happening. It's like a blueprint, right? So when you look at any large constructions or what monuments you talk about, right, what actually gives the insight about how this was constructed is a blueprint, right? So digitization is what will actually generate this blueprint when we talk about the pipeline construction. So why is it needed? Let's talk from that perspective. Why is it needed? On the current day, there are many challenges that are being faced by the gas and pipeline industry. To discuss few of something of relevance, one of the primary thing has been incomplete pipeline model and lack of integrity. What do I mean by that? The documentation of the network, the gas network that is laid on the field, and the connectivity of it is not properly documented. And if the data is available, it is without a proper standard or the controls that are required for defining the quality of the data. Disjoint process and enterprise system integrations, a disconnect in terms of how the process is connected and the system integration has been done. There are various departments where the network data will be utilized. You talk about a design team, you talk about a construction team, you talk about an operations team, you talk about an inspection and maintenance team. There are various departments when come together would actually make a successful engine in terms of gas industry work. However, these organizations are working in a siloed process with an inconsistent view of data. What is happening on the field in the construction is only visible to the field team. But what about the design team and the operations team getting a view of how the construction is progressing? Right? How the asset management team is able to visualize the amount of network that is going into construction. How is that inventory team able to identify the kind of inventory that is being used? These are siloed processes that are running in organizations. The same problem, you talk about the standard operating procedures, right? Any organization follows standard operating procedures. And these standard operating procedures for the construction are of eminent importance because it is how the networks get connected. It's not a single team constructing the network, right? So you start a phase one project at the one end of the city, and the phase two of the project is starting at the another end of the city, and there's a tap off happening in between. So how do you ensure that all the teams follow the same process? The current challenge we see is that there is no one standard operating procedure followed with all the teams. And then we have a duplicate data. Having no common data would all eventually lead to everyone creating their own structure of the data, right? So eventually leading to data errors, omission of certain information, and evidently leading to something called as a safety issue. In gas pipeline industry, it is the highest risk industry. A certain negligence during the construction or information missing during the construction phase can lead to larger disasters and the risk of life during the operation phase. If I have to quote, the recent report released by the preventive health measure in the gas pipeline industry has said that the most of the errors or the disasters have happened due to the errors that have happened in the construction phase, either with the welding or the quality of the material that has been used. So that is the significance of the construction data and ensuring the quality of that data. Finally, touch basing upon the safety, reliability, and environment for the environmental and also the regulatory process. When such is the risk in the industry and the amount of gas network construction that is going in, for example, a country like India, the regulatory bodies have also been taking care of ensuring proper standards and enforcing them on the bodies, the pipeline industry companies, so that they adhere to the guidelines. So modernization incentives being provided for doing the digital transformation, ability to induce disruptive business models through regulatory pressures, fewer resources, efficient process. Now we have seen in the last 2 years when we're talking about the COVID phase, the amount of workforce that was available for construction was less. But that doesn't reduce the amount of network that needs to be constructed, right? So efficient process and data governances is something that was required to perform in a better way with the fewer resources that were available. And also, regulators have been continuously driving the organizations to employ a efficient inspection and safety compliance process so that the total variable cost of the record and the record retention of the TVC can be achieved. So if you take these as certain business challenges that are being faced today, you can see that most of the times that we are talking about is a process where there is a connected system. Everyone getting a single view of network data, and then finally putting this network data into use for your operations and maintenance, right? So these are the business challenges where the entire industry is moving around. Now let's assume if a pipeline construction is happening, what can be digitized? There's a documentation work that needs to be done, like the approvals, the standard operating procedures. Can they be put together? Every activity you do on the field, right? You talk about various activities being performed, like a stringing of a pipe, performing a non-destructive testing on your weld, the inventory being consumed, the hydro test being performed, the location at which the network or the gas pipeline is being lowered. Can this information be brought back into the system in a digital way? And finally, the amount of manual reports that we prepare today, can that be reduced and make use of this digital data to automatically generate the reports for the audit purpose? Is this can be achieved? Is this achievable? If that is the question, the answer we have for us is the digitization. What does digitization give to you? Like, for example, what all process can you digitize? There is a design process that starts when you're constructing a network or when you're in the operation phase, the amount of network that is being monitored, the availability of this available network, and the new network being constructed, available to everyone. Then ability to visualize these networks on the field, perform your asset join, perform your inspections to capture the data digitally. And then finally, this information being brought back to project office seamlessly in real time, so that you can generate the reports, review the data, review the quality, and also generate the daily progress reports. And then being able to transfer this data, like you have a construction data, can this be seamlessly transferred to your asset management system, SAP system, O&M system, leak monitoring system, so that there is a single data visualization for everyone in the organization, and there are no siloed processes. Can this be achieved? The target of digitization is the year we are focusing upon. When you do the digitization of your pipeline construction, where you go a mobile first approach of capturing all the information in a digital way, what you are eventually leading towards is quality monitoring of the data. Because as I get the, assume you have performed a weld and there's a radiography report that has been generated. Someone in the back office being able to visualize that report immediately and also monitor the well construction through photos and videos, giving a real-time visibility about the quality process. And this will remove the manual processing updates and automate your quality assurances. Everyone in the organization, you have a regional quality engineer, you have a central quality engineer, you have a third-party audit system, everyone being able to visualize the data. It improves the data quality because every activity you're performing on the field is being real-time captured, and it's a long-time storage in terms of electronic forms of media, right? So this is giving you a visibility of the data. You're automating the process by eliminating paper, right? And that will improve your process efficiency as well. And it is putting everyone to an audit process to the digitalization. See, all activities from stringing to hydro testing is logically connected with a conditional flow, right? You perform one activity after another, right? So restricting the process such that it follows a straight line approach will ensure that your process automation is achieved. Data availability for everyone with a single view of construction details. And most importantly, as we were saying at the start of this presentation as well, we are talking about high accuracy, right? At a centimeter level accuracy, when you're able to capture the data during construction phase, you are avoiding the post-survey process and also giving a view of the network while the construction is happening. I'll show an example for this through the application as well in the later part of the presentation. And you being able to consume and track the material that is being going into the construction. If you are for digitization the construction, these are the benefits that would you reap in the long term and the short term process, eventually reducing your costs and improving the efficiency. Taking this into consideration, what we have done is that while working with the gas companies, we put forward our solution Field On Progress, which is essentially a quality pipeline construction management solution, which will help you transform your field operations in a digital way. Anytime you think about field data collection, automation in terms of paperless works, then Field On is one which can actually eventually lead to that process. We are proud to say that we are one such organization that you will find as industry, in the gas industry, provisioning this kind of a solution which can digitize your entire construction process, monitor, and also track your progress. So what's possible when we talk about digitization through Field On? Your project information can be instantly uploaded in real time, straight from the right of way on the ground. Inspectors can update the database findings as they go, so that the key decision makers can look into the data and perform an actionable intelligence, empowering them to make and pass decisions immediately, and to implement a preventive measure and preventive assault failure before it occurs. Field person can access the data right at the job site. If there's a network constructed, they can visualize it, view the attributable information, perform additional sketchings, may suggest corrections. Anything with respect to construction can be performed. Let's take an example. If a pipeline were to leak during the operation phase, what does he look for? Anytime you identify such kind of a thing, you go back to look for what was done during the construction, who performed the weld, like all the steps, who was working on it, when, and they generate report for regulatory bodies, like when it was done, what kind of an utility, other utility is passing nearby, right? Any new enforcements have come in that region, all that information is readily available. So getting this information, holistic information, right? We talk about holistic in nature. This information is what that is possible for you when you talk about digitization through Field On Progress. Getting a real-time visibility about quality, how much repair work is going on, that information, what is the progress at each level, how much pipeline has been constructed, total project, not a single project. For a total project, we're talking about an organization where owners and operators of pipeline can get a single largest benefit and with this attainable information straight from the ground, being able to get this information, right? It's a streamlined flow, from field to system record, right? So that is where we are targeting to project the system. The USPs of field on progress system mainly stand from, it is Make in India. We understand Indian CGD infrastructure and it's a tailor-made solution to meet this industry. Probably we'll say that we are one person or one organization who are able to provide this kind of network capture even for MDP network relevant to the construction challenges and the demography of India, complete paperless and a hassle-free workflow through quality monitoring from remote areas, high accuracy integration through devices like Bluetooth GPS devices like Arrow 100, and edge-to-edge connectivity right from planning in your GIS system to construction on the field to bringing back this information into the GIS system, and edge-to-edge connectivity, a low-cost system with high value, all standard operatings of project, all the information with respect to project, all put together at one place. Akanksha, how are we doing with time?
Mr. Sagar, you can take about 6-7 more minutes to wrap up.
Perfect, that would be great.
Yeah.
So all we have been doing all the talk, right? Do the digitization and everything. I'll show you a glimpse of how the system would look like if this digitization has been done. Let's assume this is a steel pipeline project that is running. Okay. Here I see the steel pipeline project construction on the field. How many of you in this on the current day organization structure, when some construction is happening on the field, will be able to show a real-time network on a map to your supervisors or all the stakeholders in the organization? Assume this is the view you can give to your organization, everyone in the stakeholders in the organization. This is not a network that has been constructed or commissioned or a survey that has been done. But on the current day, when the network construction is happening, I'm able to show this kind of network connectivity with the positions of the weld, and you can see there's a tap-off point over here. There is a highway crossing through. Probably it requires a horizontal drilling to be done. There's a crossover or there's a restriction in terms of construction. There's a gap left over here. There's a deviation in route over here from plant. You can see it is moving through a residential area, so the construction has been halted over here. Again, there's a tap-off point. It could be a T-junction where the construction needs to happen. I see the complete network flow happening, what is being at the real time on the field, right, sitting at the back office, right? So I can see where are my elbows placed, where are my bends placed. I can go a satellite view and see what kind of network demography that is over here, right? So a complete information of how the network looks like. This is the network look. This kind of network visibility you get after your construction is completed and when you complete the survey. But this visibility is being provided while the construction is happening. Now let's drill into some of the details. What activities have been performed? Like for example, there's a stringing activity has been performed. It's a QC pending status. I can see the pipe number, the kilometer at which it has been raised, the section length of the pipe, certain photos of this network. Okay. Any attachments with respect to this network or approvals that have been taken? The history with respect to the QC workflow. I have a radiography test performed. So I can see the joint number on which the radiography has been performed. I have the film information, sensitivity of it, while the entity being performed, a photo of it, a short video while the radiography test is being performed. Who is the welder who performed this activity? right? So all this information available for each activity you can see. For each activity that is performed, like if a repair has performed, the repair activity information, the backfilling information of each of these networks, from which well to which well the backfilling has been completed, giving an information about the constructed network or which is ready for hydro testing or pre-commissioning phase. So all the activity information available over here, along with the asset information, the joint number, who is the welder or the qualified welder who performed this activity, whether visual inspections have been performed, which is an upstream pipe or the downstream pipe connecting it, and also the manufacturer information of this weld and pipes. So you were able to see all this information in the real time in the back office due to the digitization process that has been employed. Furthermore, you get information on a dashboard about the quality, how many activities have been performed, how many have been reviewed, how many have been rejected on a daily basis. Ability to maintain all your documents at one place for that project, approval documents, standard operating procedure documents and everything. Ability to generate all these reports as per the PNGRB guidelines with a standard format across the organization, any project that is being constructed following the same standard procedure for generation of your reports for any historical date or from a certain duration of time, giving a generated report for this. You being able to send the report directly from the system to all the stakeholders in the organization, or anyone in the organization directly coming over here and downloading the report. Forget about that scenarios where someone sitting in the business office asking you for the progress or progress of construction, and you being going around to prepare a report versus the report being available for them at their hand without requiring to request any information from anyone, and they getting the information about the project construction with all the details of how much inventory has been used, what is the delay in the process, what is the quality that is going, an inch-wise kilometer report. So all the information being available at the hand of the all the stakeholders in the organization and also the project managers. You being able to maintain a store, giving an information about what is the amount of pipeline that is available as part of the inventory, how much has been consumed, what is the remaining length, how many caps are being used, how many reducers are being used, how many valves have been installed, all the information at one place for you and for the mobile team, for the team that's on the field, being able to use their mobile devices to capture this information, right? So this is the amount of digitization that we are talking about, not only about network, but about all the aesthetics of project construction or the pipeline construction is what we are targeting to achieve as part of this digitization journey. Key aspects of this, like maintaining the project data, getting a high accuracy GPS coordinates tagged at the time of construction, sending this information seamlessly to any GIS system that is in place so that your asset management system, the operation management system can get a visibility of the network as the construction is being progressed, so that you being able to identify the consumers that you will be able to commission very soon. So that is the amount of construction that we are talking about, or the ability to digitization. This is the benefit you get through digitization. And field on progress can certainly marked as a pioneer in terms of making this construction digitization a real possible scenario and not a distant dream. Key takeaways: by removing the need to gather data from paper-based record system, your owners or operators can get substantial reduce in the overhead hours. Predictive capabilities, because you have that information in a digital format now, you can assess the health and based on immediately available data. As the data continues to build, you get a clear audit trail with the technology and being able to generate reports with the click of a button, the way I've demonstrated to you. Once a pipeline is in operation, this data can be used for ongoing pipeline integrity management during the asset operation life cycle. You being able to do inspections, maintenance, scheduled maintenance, excavation reports, all that can be very well captured to a single system, and all the information can be maintained in a single system. Having this information will open the doors for the machine learning, which we talk about, and also the artificial intelligence in terms of predictions. So this is the power of your digitization of your construction of the pipeline, and field on progress, if you employ, could be one such system can actually solve this problem for you. We being experienced in implementing these systems in the Indian demography and also in the global arena. So the vision is simple. Get to a digitalized construction process that can help you in information processing from edge to edge across the organization, giving a status of construction, leading to less hassle operations and a quick turnaround from grade. A simple, holistic digitization for growing India and a gasified nation is the vision that Magic Minds takes to its product field on progress for the benefit of Indian demography and Indian CGDs. With that, I conclude my presentation and open the floor for any Q&A.
Thank you, Mr. Sagar, for a very informative presentation. We do have a question from the floor, and I would request all other delegates to keep sending in their questions. We can also, take them up during the course of the panel discussion. Mr. Sagar, you can probably respond to this one question, and then we'll go ahead for the panel discussion. So, this question is actually from Mr. Utkarsh Varade, who's from AGNP, and he's asking, as you're talking about pipeline construction, can we store data customer wise? So as we are talking about MDPE network, there is a need to store customer wise activities. So, is there a function where you can store customer wise data as well?
So when you talk about customer-wise data, wherein you're talking about maintaining your consumer data associated with your network information, like ability to identify which customer is connected to which network. That information, what you could do is that while we talk of the pipeline construction, there could be certain changes done, or you can induce a data model wherein you will be able to track such changes. We provision the capability to do the consumer survey through our base system field on, which will help you to do that consumer survey. And you will be able to integrate this with your construction management system so that you can get a visualization in terms of mapping your data model of consumer with your pipeline construction data. It's a possibility that can be explored with certain changes in the data model and certain enhancements in terms of how you visualize the network.
Mr. Sagar, we have a couple of more questions, but I think what we can probably do is have some initial remarks from Mr. Ruvade and Mr. Mishra, and then, I'll probably take all the questions together and we can have them answered during the course of the panel discussion. Let me introduce both the gentlemen to you, and then we can have Mr. Mishra speak about his experiences and, his company's progress as far as digitalization is concerned, followed by Mr. Ruvade. So just for a quick introduction, as I mentioned, Mr. Arun Kumar Mishra is CEO, HP Oil Gas Private Limited, which is a joint venture of HPCL and Oil as its he is handling city gas project development in two GAs, which is Ambala, Kurukshetra, and Kolhapur. Mr. Mishra comes with over 25 years of experience in handling assignments in various LPG plants. He's been involved in commissioning, operation, and maintenance aspects. Previously, he's handled cross-country pipeline projects as well, and has been involved in Mumbavashi Black Oil and Bangalore multi-product lines. He was instrumental in commissioning of 1,050-kilometer long and operational stabilization of Mundra Delhi pipeline, amongst others. Mr. Mishra has also implemented new methodologies in interface management using SCADA-based component segregation. He's also played major role in developing the methodology and establishing the efficacy of CDRs in multi-product petroleum pipeline as a productivity and margin enhancing tool. Mr. Mishra graduated as a mechanical engineer from NIT, then REC Rourkela. Welcome, Mr. Mishra. We also have Mr. Anand Rubade on the panel. He is Vice President Technical Services, AGNP Pratham. He comes with over 18 years of experience in the gas utility industry with accomplished working knowledge on city gas distribution network design engineering. He has successfully commissioned AGNP's first LCNG station at Jodhpur and designed CGD networks for Mumbai. He's also played a key role in design, construct, and commissioning of India's largest CBM projects at Reliance Industries Limited, CGD project at MGL, and CNG LCNG projects at AGNP Pratham. Welcome, Mr. Rubade. So we are now ready to, listen to Mr. Mishra. Mr. Mishra, may I please request you to make some initial remarks?
Thank you. First of all, it's an excellent initiative, and especially the presentation from Mr. Karthik was very good. It really touched upon the best part was, I think, the workflow processes that he has demonstrated in one of the slides, which gives a key view of how things can be implemented, and also certain implementations that he has demonstrated, and how the reports can be generated and other things. I think we'll discuss more on that. As regards the HP oil gas and its foray into digitalization, this is a 3 years or 3.5 years old company into city gas, and like all other city gas new companies, it is also taking baby steps forward. Presently, apart from other activities, we are trying to integrate into the digitalization and automation fields in some small ways. We have activated our ERP systems. We have GIS-based asset mapping and small O&M activities we have already started, be it the patrolling, be it or customer interactions, all those things. Of course, the CRM is there, the customer registrations, all those things are there, or some kind of maintenance activities we are using the GIS tools to help us in that. This is a kind of initial stage, what I can say. But considering the focus of today's discussion, which is construction management and the asset mapping from that stage itself, I think we also are quite new to that field, and maybe I am also a learner in that. With this, I will just hand over the floor, and we'll further discuss.
Thank you, Mr. Mishra. Mr. Rubade.
One to all, and first of all, thank you, India Infrastructure Publishing, for giving me the opportunity. I'll just sharing my PPT. Basically, just to give the background, is this gas distribution in India started way back in 1860, and since then we have developed a lot. If you can see at the right hand side, India map show the area which has been awarded by PNGRB for developing the gas infrastructure. Initially, it was limited to Kolkata and Mumbai, but now it is pan-India. And I'm showing these slides to show you the amount of infrastructure that we are going to, or we are constructing, and we are going to construct. If you see, in last 2-3 years, the amount of growth which has been shown in the CGD infrastructure is tremendous. It is exponential increasing. Almost 82 lakh domestic customers have been connected, and around 33,000 kilometer pipeline has been awarded, and under construction 15,000. We just wanted to show the amount of growth that has been shown in the CGD industry. And this is the numbers just I shown you state-wise. I'll just quickly run through it. Now the challenges when we go for this rapid growth of our infrastructure, we'll face the challenges of expanding our workforces, and then increasing PNG connection. There are various awareness. We need to give the awareness to the public about natural gas, And then improved safety, we have to maintain highest standard of safety. And once we constructed our assets, we should have the accurate mapping of our network assets, where they are lying and where the pipelines are laid and where our assets are there. And that is very much important as far as O&M is concerned. Then challenges like developing the infrastructure, the manual pipeline designing without earlier the days where I was used to design pipeline through a calculator. But that is at this moment it is next to impossible to do the calculation manually. You have to have software, and that is digitization come into picture. And in manual, there is no scalability. If you want to have scalability, then digital solution is the only solution. Then management of customer data, like I said, that crores of customer we are going to connect for coming 7-8 years. So that maintaining the customer data also is very important, and for that, digitization is very important, will be playing important role. We should not depend on human intervention. So that is one part, and digital solution will give you the right perspective. Yeah, just I quickly run through this here. What we are doing it. Presently, we have we are operating at five states, 34 districts, and out of that, we have constructed 4 LCNG stations, and around in 1 year span, we have constructed closely 200 CNG stations and roughly 200 kilometers of steel pipeline. This is infrastructure, the scale of infrastructure with which we have to cope up with it. So this is a need for the digitization. Why digitization is required? Faster infrastructure planning, accurate tracing of the data, assets, real-time visualization. Like Karthik has just said, real-time data visualization is very important to work in sync, not in silos. And informed and corrective decision making. That is very much important part of infrastructure rollout. Quick decision making is very much important. And with the help of the digitization, we can take that action very fast. And effective O&M activities, if you know your assets, where they are lying, then you can take effective decision making in O&M activities. And MIS is also very important because management wants information on fingertips. So without digitization, it is impossible to do the MIS reporting. Incidentally, the Magic Mind is the partner in our AGNP in developing this quality management system. We have from day one, our management was very keen in digitizing our assets. So from day one, we have engaged agency like Magic Mind to develop this QCM system. In our I will skip this because already Karthik has covered this. This is just a glimpse of what Karthik has just shown us. So I'll skip these slides. Yeah, this is how the Arrow device looks like, and this is apart from software. Data capturing, the real-time visibility, and you can navigate back to the your assets by using this same software. This I'll skip it too. Yes, he has already covered this. So we are the real user of what just Karthik has explained, and this is the report is generated through software. You don't need to do manual entries or all those things. And this signature also embedded in the system so that there's no need for physical signatures. Apart from this QCM system, what we have done, we have also digitized our audit module. And there are various kinds of audit generally we carry out in the pipeline industry, like quality assurance audit, asset integrity audit, pre-safety startup review audits. All those audits in our organization, we have decided that we'll do away with all paper-based audit and go for digital audits. This is one snapshot of how the audit module looks like. This is one of our CNG stations audit module. And this is the tracker, means action taking. If there are any action pending or there are observation, those can be digitally, we can capture, and that can be monitored and tracked whether that action has been closed or not. And we can generate a report on that from that. And these are various. This is the mobile application. You need to take a bring this paper and pen and do the auditing. And this is the dashboard wherein you can monitor and track the observations in which GA, how many observations have been given and how many are open. And contractor wise data also you can maintain. And then department wise, like CNG, steel, and PNG, LNG, those also you can maintain. This is the digital report, how it look like when you submit and save the report. Yeah. And GIS, just I quickly cover. GIS also we have implemented in AGNP from day one. And this QCM is integrated with GIS. We are on the verge of integrating these two software so that real-time information is available to the end user O&M, that the assets are laid and that has to be patrolled. So this is also one of the important, and this is GIS is as mandated by PNGRB. So we have to implement for CGD industry. This is just quick glance of what AGNP has implemented, and same Magic Mind is our partner to implement this in our AGNP organization, and this is a G-based software. G small world. Yeah, there are various functionalities with which we can. This is a dashboard. This is how the snapshot of our assets. I'll just quickly finish my presentation. This is the outage management. Gas outage management. With the help of this tool, we can find out how many customers will be affected if we close any wall in case of any emergency. Issues and challenges to adopt the digital technologies. First of all, the resistance from the because people are used to some kind of techniques. They will, first of all, they will resist to any change. So we have to cope up with that, and we need to regularly, continuously train them, educate them, give them, explain why this digitization is required. That challenges we have faced in AGNP to convince people to use this software, and the right type of instrument is required to digitize our systems, and right type of software. We need to choose very wisely which type of software is suited our requirement. And lastly, the right implementation partner is very much important. The partner should be receptive, means whatever our requirement, they should listen to us and implement as per our requirement, not what software has limitations. I think that's it. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rubade. I could see Mr. Karthik was smiling because he's actually got a customer feedback right on this webinar where Mr. Rubade has, shared his experience there. We actually have a lot of questions coming in for, I think, the Field On program or system that you've spoken about, Karthik. But before we move to those questions, I have a few questions myself for Mr. Mishra and Mr. Rubade. So, my first question to Mr. Mishra. So this is actually taking from where Mr. Rubade, left his presentation, which is basically where organizations are still not very open or hesitant to, move to this core concept of digitalization, since you've been in the industry for so long, and you're actually looking at broad based operations across the CGD network deployment, etc. What is your take, or from your experience, how would you say that how long we have come as far as adoption of digitalization is concerned, and specifically to a component like construction of gas pipelines?
Thank you. I have been a part of cross-country pipelines, and now I am there in CGD. Though both are pipelines and both have steel components, but the settings are quite different. City gas is specifically, it is now evolving, and it has got quite a big push up to this 9th round. But these systems and practices of the old period are still prevalent. And the change of mindset, what Mr. Anant was talking about some time back, that is slowly coming out. Like the transformations are clearly visible, and I think the programs like this, awareness programs, the kind of push that is happening thanks to my Magic Minds and India infrastructure and people like that. So these are all really a good way for us to propel to go to the future. Let's take the case of smart metering. Each one of us knows it's a good thing. But then there are implementation hurdles, there are issues. So there are maybe it is the mindsets, the financials, or the kind of investments that is required. All those things are there. So coming to the hurdles or the mindset changes in the CGD or the gas areas, majorly, if you can go to the systems and processes that are already in place, they generate certain kinds of outputs. Let's take the e-tendering or the design. Let's start from that. Planning, then implement, and then you get to the outcome or go to the next page of your construction data, or the construction outputs go into the implementation, operations and compliance pages. So when you plan out your construction, you have your e-procurements, your tenderings, and you have your own vendor lists. Now, whom do you select? How do you specify your construction partners? I'll share an example. When we are implementing GIS, we have this difficulty that our tender specifies we will have only the vendor, the construction partner will hand over the soft copy to us. And he has been, perhaps since ages, he has been handing over the soft copies. No, but they are not digital ready. They are simply soft copies. So from that, when you move to editable or manageable copies, or next to the high accuracy GPS device that we are talking about, which will provide your location of your asset with use in a usable way. So to move towards that, we have to change our systems or the way we operate, the way we do our procurement activities, and the way we select our partners. I think the last slide was about getting the right partner, Mr. Anand's last slide. So those things are important. And yes, people are recognizing and taking steps, maybe when whatever they are starting today. You can see about this digital journey started sometimes maybe 10 years back or so. And today, I mean, it is quite different from those days. So maybe in, if I can say in 2 to 3 years time, this will become a reality across the industry, and even in the let's say public sector, where all these systems procedures are also in a great requirement. there also it will become a common practice. That is what is my view. But yes,
Right.
what you are doing, it is the right way, right method. Maybe the development tanks are there, but it will
Right.
lead us to the right way.
Right.
That's what is my view.
And Mr. Mishra, any certain particular points, we have an implementation partner here on the panel. So, if there are few certain particular points that you would like to highlight, which, they can probably weave in while they are approaching, companies to try on these solutions or to have these systems on board. So, something that you think is required from the implementation partner side to kind of make these solutions, make companies more ready to pick up or adopt these solutions?
I think the solutions that are being offered are also there internationally. They're available or being used in almost similar manner. When we come to the settings here, we look for cost-effective solutions.
Right.
And how do you calculate the cost? Maybe in terms of the value, the how much we can save, but also in terms of the time. So we can really focus on what kind of logistics and coordination times, the kind of communication time spent in communication, the decision support, how we can reduce that, and that will result in project delivery, on-time delivery, and cost savings. Because you take almost all the projects in city gas are delayed from the whatever the template dates. So I think if you can focus on that, and also how to handhold and bring the construction partners, or even bring the clients to come to the digital platform, like how to kind of train and hire to come to a digital worker stage from a manual worker to a digital worker stage, how to bring them up. That kind of efforts, I think, need to be there. Yes, with a willing client and willing partner, willing construction partner can be ensured from our side with the right kind of push and the modifications in the tender documents and all. But yes, all those things are required. Common efforts, joint efforts are required.
Right. And Mr. Mishra, on the future plans, for HPOIL or for that matter, HPCL, what is your take in terms of adoption of these solutions for your operations? Do you have any time frame in mind, or are you working on them right now? What are your future plans there?
Yeah, I can say that there are plans, but of course I cannot say how fast or exactly what we are planning. But yes, there are plans.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mishra. Next, I have a couple of questions for Mr. Rubade, and I can see we have a lot of questions from attendees here, but I think we'll take that up once after we've interaction with Mr. Rubade, because, most of these questions are around the system and the, product that you essentially talked about, Mr. Karthik, right? So, Mr. Rubade, I think that was a very good presentation. You've already told us, the various systems and solutions that you're deploying. So the first question is that how has been your experience, and two, what are going to be the next steps in terms of how you take forward this digitalization?
First of all, our experience is quite good. Our management focus was to implement all digital solution from the day one, because I come from the my previous experience from Mahanagar Gas Limited, where I seen how the O&M people struggle when it comes to identify the assets.
Yeah.
There were very few as-built data available. The accuracy of as-built information is very poor. So once we have started this quality construction management system, from day one we have obtained all our assets to the accuracy of 20 centimeter to 50 centimeter. That is the kind of accuracy we have got with the solution. And it's a real time, means that the moment the person captures the coordinates at site, and immediately it gets passed on to the server, and the person sitting at HO or anywhere in the our organization can see how where the pipeline has been laid. So this is it's very fast and real-time solution. So we have come up with very drastic changes in the construction activities with this digitalization solution. Apart from this software, we are in the process of having SCADA system. This already we have developed a lot of CNG station already we have got online. And apart from now there is a if you see, most of now CGD companies are away from pipeline. There is no pipeline available within their GA. But the MWP says you have to construct so many CNG stations. And then comes the daughter booster concept. So daughter booster concept required the cascades to carry gas up to the stations. For that, you need to have very good logistical management system. So we are going ahead with the logistical management system, which will integrate SCADA system with the GIS system, and it will give us the data, what is the levels of gas pressure available at the station, and to reduce the dry out of the stations, immediately we can send our vehicle to that particular station. So such kind of digital solution we are looking forward.
And Mr. Rubadi, the same thing to you as well. We have Mr. Sagar here, who's heading R&D. So probably, this is the best platform in case you think that there are certain requirements which you think, I wouldn't say that they're unmet, but certain things that can further be improved upon. If there are certain pointers that you would like to highlight to Mr.
Yeah, there are a few. We are continuously in discussion with Karthik and his team,
Right.
Because when we implement any new software, there will be certain changes or requirement will be come from the end user, because end user is the construction team who is actually capturing the data. And if they are facing like there are one functionality which requested by GA team that the construction people has to break the pipe, and in our present system that functionality is not available. So we have given the feedback that this functionality we required, and they have accepted this our request, and they are working on it, and that will be implemented real fast.
Right. In fact, Mr. Rubadi and Mr. Sagar, this is one question, since we're talking about so much data being involved and, so much digital assets being involved, how do you deal with the security aspect of it? I mean, is that a concern, or for that matter, is that a big concern, a big priority? All these cybersecurity issues that we keep on hearing about. So how is that managed? Is it weaved in within that system, or maybe AGNP is separately looking at that and kind of integrating?
We have discussed this issue with our partner, and what we have decided and we have implemented that we will use our own servers, and we have taken all the data on our cloud server, and all those servers have been given due attention for this data theft or data security, and all firewalls have been installed, and only access given to the company persons only. And then all I think Karthik can throw some light on it.
So when you talk about the security aspect, right, and certainly as you pointed out, Akanksha, when you talk about the network data that's being collected from the field, the mobile device, so there is certainly an eye that, is this prone to any security attacks or cyber theft, right? So from a system perspective, we ensure that the security standards that needs to be met to ensure that these kind of mobile applications can be used hassle-free on the field is taken care. And on top of it, we try to monitor these devices. We have a device management in place where we track the devices which are using the information, and very certain employees leaving the organization are not allowed to access the system. So disabling the access for such users in the system so that the devices can be suspended from usage. So taking care of that kind of an activities ensuring all the information exchange that is happening between the servers is properly secure, chat through a secure channel is being integrated. So taking these kind of measures to ensure there is no data leaks happening from the data source point. At the same time, when the data is being installed on the cloud servers, what we could achieve with AGNP as well is that they being understanding of threats that can occur, and as an organization giving a priority to security, choosing the cloud servers in their own cluster, creating their own cluster network so that the proper firewalls and securities being enforced, so that the network channel of communication happens only through identified personnel or through the identified application process. And this is a continuous process, and it's not a one-time process when you implement it. On a continuous way, we need to keep an eye on the market and the kind of threats that are being identified and induced into the system. At the same time, from an infrastructure perspective, the IT team that is sitting back in AGMP office also takes care of ensuring that there are no breakthroughs happening in the system. So it's a give and take in both the systems. We try to keep the system up to date with the security, and also requesting the customers also to keep a check on their infrastructure as well. So it's an answer.
Mr. Sagar, I have about handful of questions for you here. I would just request if you can keep the answers a little brief. I think this is all around, the solution that you discussed in your presentation. So I'll just read out those for you. So somebody, of course, is asking if you can brief about the Arrow 100 GPS accuracy and related infrastructure requirements.
So if you talk about Arrow 100 GPS device, it is a standalone Bluetooth device with connectivity around 158 satellites, I suppose, which comes around $300 as a $300 cost. And the main advantage you get with a GPS device like Arrow 100 is that it will give you a centimeter level accuracy. You can touch upon less than centimeter accuracy in an open field, and not only going crowded places like a residential area, still you'll be able to achieve a centimeter accuracy of 10 to 20 centimeters. So that's a kind of infrastructure you have. You don't need to have a base station for this. That's a carryable device with chargeable and also coming with an depth rod so that you measure the depth and identify the kind of additional information that can be captured. You get information about various satellites, accuracy information along with the coordinates. So that certainly helps in terms of while you're capturing the data.
Right. And, there's another question in terms of is certain level of skill set or competency required to operate this device?
To operate the GPS device, I would say no. If you know how to switch on your power bank, and then if you know how to connect your Bluetooth, switch on your Bluetooth on a mobile device, that would be the minimum requirement. Then once you have that requirement, it depends on your intelligence. The understanding of the gas network, like you need to wait till the accuracy gets an improvement, right? So on the mobile device, it will show you the amount of accuracy the coordinates are being displayed at. So you wait for some time until higher accuracy is displayed, and then you're being able to use it. So other than that, I don't see any complexity, because for people coming from the age of the data survey GPS devices, where there's a base station point you need to connect. So all that are not available. It's a standalone device. So pretty much you can connect to. So Arrow 100 is one device. Trimble devices are available of this standalone nature. So any GPS device of this kind can certainly help in terms of capturing an high accuracy GPS coordinates.
Okay. There's another question on projects that have used your solutions. So of course, AGNP is one of your clients. If you can also, let us know about other organizations who are using these solutions in India.
We do have another organization, Tingas, who is using the similar solution for about 1.5 years, 2 years now, in terms of that pipeline construction management for both MDP and steel pipeline construction. We have AGNP using the system. We are in verge of closing a project with one of the United States, North American region, where we conducted pilots. We have conducted pilots to Mahanagar Gas Limited, and there's another organization in the southern region where we are doing a pilot now in terms of the pipeline construction.
Right.
We are seeing a lot of traction in Indian region because of the growing nature of construction requirement.
Right. There are some oil and gas companies who are already using PIMS system to monitor their daily construction activities, which I think was mentioned in your presentation also. So that integrated with GPS and GIS system, what other technology is your system following?
See, apart from what you talk about as a PMS system, you're mainly tracking about the day-to-day activity. However, there's a far beyond work that needs to be done, not only in terms of not only the record maintenance, but also the additional aspects of it, where you're talking about tracking your inventory, the integration with the GIS system, integration with GPS, which already been spoken, and on top of it, being able to the extension part of it. Like for example, you have a patrolling team who is continuously monitoring the excavations that are happening around that can actually damage your gas network ability to report such kind of excavations that are happening, ability to track your and monitor your field crew team, where they're located, how that is being operated. So that kind of an activities. Some of the key aspects like that are talking about like integrations. It's not the standalone system which is getting the data, right? It's about how you can actually distribute this information to the other systems. Like it could be an asset management system, it could be an operation management system. So making that integration seamless, that's where the significance comes into. And the later part of it, which also touched base in the presentation, is that if you have the data, then you have an enormous advantage in terms of the kind of reports that you can generate, the kind of assessment you can do on the data, right? So that is where we are able to channelize the information, the data that is available into information and knowledge that can be provided to the stakeholders of the organization. So that you will certainly see a significant difference to talk about from a PMS system to what we provide as a construction management solution.
There's another question on, can we make a tie-in or line-in chart in this?
At this point of time, we don't have such kind of line charts available. But maybe if the customers are keen on that in terms of operational requirement, we might consider, but at this point of time, we don't provide that.
Okay, okay. We have an, sorry.
In the GIS system. When you have a GIS system integrated to it, that is where you can get this reports generated from.
Okay, okay. There's another question, but I think either Mr. Rubade or Mr. Mishra would have to give a crack at it. It says, can we get a least cost pipeline path from location A to B following all the PNGRB guidelines? Okay, sorry, I read it as a regulatory thing. I think it is for Mr. Sagar only. So will the system be able to give us a least cost pipeline path from location A to B, which is in sync with PNGRB guidelines as well?
So again, over here, what happens is that it comes in the design phase of the project, right? So when you want to do a pipeline construction, there's a design phase that goes in where you actually plot the kind of network, the kind of path you want to take in the construction. So the GIS systems like GE Small World can be utilized for performing these kind of activities where you can actually identify the route in which you want to perform your network construction.
Right.
And then it can be transferred onto the field devices for the visualization.
Okay, okay. And can the depth of the pipeline be also monitored in small sections?
Depth, again, when it comes to depth, we do not have any integration as on date with an external devices, but when we're talking about the aeronet devices which come with an structural rod, which you can replace at any point to identify the depth, you can take a measurement and reference of it with a photo and then have the input values being captured as part of the network capture. So the field, you might have to rely a bit on field engineer in terms of the depth that is being entered and the visual cues that are being provided through the measurement rods.
Okay. There's another question on, can the MDP network segregated loop-wise? So in case there are any, in case there are any leakages in MDP, that can be easily identified and, the network can be isolated there.
Once you capture the MDP network from the device, from the software, and you transfer it to the GIS system, the analysis or the assessment of that can be taken over from there. Because what we do is that once the network has been captured, when you put it through a GIS system, there's a processing in terms of how this network visualization needs to be done and break it into the segments, right? So from there, the utilization for the operations and management team to identify the small sections and loops can certainly be done. So it's all the connectivity that you establish while you're capturing of your construction data and being able to process it via GIS system gives you that capability.
Okay. The next question is for Mr. Rubade. Since you're using the solution, so somebody is asking all the data. Does it need to be upload? It needs to be uploaded from the field into the software. So of course, largely it is dependent on the reliability of the field engineer or supervisor who's doing it. So how do you probably take care of manipulation in that sense, or an error happening there?
See, in this software, what we have done, see, all data has to be captured by field engineer. There is no option in it. So the person who is taking the data, he should be uh, told about and given the training what is the significance of the data, and this data will go for O&M purpose for very quite a long period. So accuracy of data is very much important. And what we have done, we have in this software, the system will not allow you to go in the next stage unless you complete the first stage. So that control we have kept in our system, that so that, and there are few mandatory field. So unless and until you fill that mandatory field, the system will not allow you to go further. So that checks and balances we have kept in our system.
Okay. And what kind of solutions are being taken by you to prevent third-party interventions? This is also somebody's asked.
Third party intervention is actually out of this purview of this software. We have to rely on the accurate mapping of our network and feedback from the people around we're working. And what, in fact, what we can achieve that we can install some systems, leak detection system in the P network. That also we are looking for. Means, as present, we have not done any digitization in the P network, but going forward, we are going to install some pressure points, means pressure measuring devices, through which we can check, means we can identify which section suddenly got pressure drop. So with the help of that, we can set some certain alarms that at this location there is sudden drop in the pressure. So there is something wrong in that section. Then we can send our person and see what exactly happened. So such kind of solution we can provide.
Right. The next question is for Mr. Sagar. Can we perform any process performance-based calculations on the pipeline data using this solution, and if that can be visualized in the software?
Uh,
We have certain inbuilt dashboards providing an visibility in terms of the quality of the data, how the project is performing in terms of its timeline, if there are any delays, what is the total type construction that has happened, total inventory that has been consumed. So there are certain number of reports and dashboards and visual dashboards that are already being provided. But again, in terms of what organizations are looking at, it's a continuous process of improvisation. Because of the availability of the data, we'll be able to perform that report. Again, coming specific.
yeah, to add into that, if uh, the participant is asking about the process parameter in terms of pressure and temperature, the answer is no. This software doesn't provide you any pressure values. You have to perform those simulation in the another software which can perform those simulations, and that data you can fetch back to GIS using some interfaces. But
Yeah.
in this QCM or the field on software, it is not possible.
All right. All right. And Mr. Sagar, we have multiple requests, including one from Gujarat Gas, where they would like to, see an online demo or probably have an online note where you can, discuss and share more about this thing. So I will request you to share your email ID or the relevant person's email ID in the chat for everybody's reference. And I would request all the delegates that they can probably write into Mr. Karthik or his colleagues at Magic Minds to take this forward. With that, we have brought this discussion to an end. In fact, I would, probably ask Mr. Karthik if he has certain comments or certain remarks for our two panelists, and especially Mr. Mishra, because Mr. Ribade is already your client. So, if you have something to share with him, and of course, with all our delegates, because we have a lot of other gas organizations in the attendees who've been listening to you today.
I think the primary point I would actually touch base on what we have been hearing is that organizations' willingness to implement these kind of systems, right? So it's mainly because of the hesitation or um, fear that whether the field engineers will be able to use the application or the backend system with how much support it's going to get, right? So what you need to identify is that you need to take a start at a certain point where you start digitizing your data. Your workforce, the new age workforce, is certainly very well aware of the digital technologies. They are friendly with the mobile devices. It's on the fear of there is a certain fear in terms of what information is being collected from their mobile devices. That is something that would concern them. A consistent training and assurance to them that these technologies are only for data capture process and not for monitoring their individual work progress. If the discussion is taken in that direction, there will be a certainly a willingness coming from the field engineers as well to capture the data. And also, if you start using such kind of a system, it's the first step that you take, right? That will certainly move towards a more digitalization process at a larger scale, automation in terms of what data that you have. Most of the organizations are stuck at a point where they feel that, oh, I have a PMI system where documents are being maintained, oh, I already have an SAP system which has my inventory management. It's not about the silo systems and how you actually build them together and make that information available for everyone. Someone in the back office having the information are the not ones who are going to benefit from it. It's how this information is transferred to everyone in the organization who are connected to each other that will actually benefit them. So have the willingness, be open. If you are in doubt or if you are in thought process of okay, how it is going to benefit it, you can certainly reach to not only Magic Minds, the Field and Progress system, but every other systems that are available in the market. You can reach out, talk to the IT vendors, and understand and make them understand your process so that it will make your job easier. Certainly, gas industry people are who come with a domain expertise. We are the people who come with knowledge in terms of how digital transformation can be done. It's a handshake between these two entities that can actually make it successful. When we make our implementations, it's not only our knowledge. When we work with agents, a lot of domain knowledge comes from their team. A lot of domain knowledge comes from our customers also, which we learn from them. And then we replicate in terms of how we can move the digital process. So no system is fully built. At the same time, there needs to be some system in place so that you can actually assess and make a progress towards. So that's what I would say. Keep the willingness, have that vision, and make that knowledge useful.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sagar. With that, we will close this session on a positive note. Here's wishing to a lot of more digitalization in the gas industry across, all the activities and all the segments that we do. Thank you to Magic Minds for supporting this event today, and a bigger thank you to Mr. Rubadi and Mr. Mishra for taking out time from their busy schedules and being here with us to share their views. And of course, grateful to all the attendees and delegates who've been here today with us to attend this session, hoping that you have certain relevant key takeaways from here. So with that, we will close the session, and thank you very much to everyone for their time and consideration today. Have a very good day.